is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, President Vladimir Putin addressed international news agencies on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum during a 2-hour Q&A session. Putin covered domestic policy, foreign relations, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. President Donald Trump declared that a sanctions-stripped Cuba has already collapsed. Trump pledged that the White House will shift its full covert and military focus toward the Caribbean island immediately after resolving tensions with Iran. The European Council has announced a massive €100 million funding package for the Lebanese armed forces. The aid package is designed to tighten security controls along Lebanon's borders and protect local civilians. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced a massive fort and fund directive along the Lebanon border. The plan pairs heavy reinforcements to secure northern towns with a $7 billion urban growth initiative. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has labeled the nation's plunging birth rate a quiet emergency. Takaichi warned lawmakers during a budget committee that sessions at a record low fertility rate threatens the country's long-term vitality. And back home, Malacanang is hitting back at controversial claims involving suitcases of cash allegedly sent to government officials. The administrations directly challenged accusers at a Senate hearing to lay out solid evidence instead of stories. I'm Hannah Jane Sancho. Newsline World starts now. The European Council has announced a massive €100 million funding package to bolster the Lebanese armed forces. The newly approved military aid aims to tighten security controls across Lebanon's borders and protect local civilians. Rahul Parba for the details.
The European Council finalized the sweeping financial package Thursday, pulling the funding directly from the European Peace Facility. This multi-million euro injection marks the fourth bilateral assistance measure provided to Lebanon under the Specialized Global Security Fund. Diplomats state the overarching goal is to strengthen the military's operational capacity to effectively monitor, control, and secure Lebanon's sovereign territory. The aid package is also designed to help the military uphold the state's official monopoly on arms while ensuring the direct protection of local civilians. With this latest €100 million measure officially approved, the stakes are rising for regional security infrastructure. The Council notes that total European Union assistance provided to Lebanon under the international facility has now reached a staggering €182 million. This has been Rahul Parba, your Global Citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announces a massive fort and fund directive along the Lebanon border, pairing heavy reinforcements with a $7 billion urban growth initiative. Rahul Parba, tell us more.
The northern frontier of Israel is undergoing a massive strategic and structural transformation. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu unveiled a comprehensive economic development and defense initiative specifically targeting war-battered towns situated within 9 kilometers of the Lebanese border. The announcement directly follows the cabinet's formal approval of a multi-billion-dollar security package engineered alongside Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. Netanyahu emphasized that the multi-year funding is designed to achieve absolute deterrence while ensuring future generational stability.
יש פה שני מרכיבים, מרכיב אחד, מרכיב הפיתוח וההזנקה, מרכיב השני, מרכיב הביטחון וההרחקה ומניעה. ואנחנו נחושים מאוד לעשות את זה. למה? כי זה תנאי הכרחי. לילדים שלכם, או לנכדים שלכם, כולכם צעירים, רובכם. לילדים, לנכדים.
The massive tactical blueprint deploys 13 billion shekels in immediate state funding, bringing the administration's total northern rehabilitation budget to a record 20 billion shekels. The security framework allocates direct subsidies for private and home-safe rooms and mandates the construction of 1,800 new public bomb shelters across public transit centers and community parks. Netanyahu stated that the long-term objective is to build enough infrastructure, transport, and health networks to attract 100,000 new residents, mirroring previous population expansions in the south.
איך אומרים, ליהודים ולדרוזים ולצ'רקסים ולמוסלמים. חיים כולנו באותה חבילה. ואני מחויב לזה. אני מחויב לזה. השרים והשרות כאן מחויבים לזה. מחויבים לזה חזק, זה לא אמירה מן השפה אל החוץ. זה יום גדול במסע המשותף שלנו. אני אומר לכם, תזכרו את זה. מה שאתם ראיתם בדרום, זה מה שיהיה בצפון. לא האמינו אז, אבל הם כולם מאמינים, גם פה. רק שאלה של זמן, ושל המדיניות התקיפה והמושכלת הזאת.
While opposition lawmakers criticize the administrations for delaying emergency response funds during peak cross-border hostilities, defense technicians maintain that the heavy fortification project is crucial to insulate civilian zones from incoming drone arrays. This has been Rahil Parba, your Global Citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
U.S. President Donald Trump declared that a sanctions-stripped Cuba has already collapsed and pledged that Washington will turn its full focus toward the Caribbean island immediately after dealing with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Jane Cudnita has a story.
The White House has drawn a direct timeline connecting its Middle East campaign to political shifts in the Caribbean. Speaking to reporters, U.S. President Donald Trump described Cuba as a failed and starving nation that has effectively collapsed. Trump emphasized that the cutoff of subsidized oil and financial aid from Venezuela has left Havana completely broke and unable to maintain its basic infrastructure. Using a characteristic aviation metaphor, Trump noted that while Washington is currently handling the Islamic Republic of Iran, a diplomatic or military intervention in Cuba will serve as the administration's next brief stopover.
It sort of collapsed, and we're going to handle that as soon as we've finished. I like to do one thing at a time, and we'll take care of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And as soon as that's done on our way back, we'll just make a little brief stopover. We'll take care of it.
Trump reiterated that the economic stranglehold on Havana was accelerated by U.S. military maneuvers in South America, claiming that Washington has recovered the costs of its operations in Venezuela many times over. He laid out a post-regime vision for the island, praising the entrepreneurial spirit of the Cuban-American diaspora in Miami. He also promised to roll out specialized state plans that would remove the current political regime, restore family ties, and open up Cuba's premier coastal terrains for massive Western commercial resort and real estate investments.
So we have some very good plans for Cuba. I think, we have to get rid of the regime was very tough, very nasty. The difference is now they don't have money coming in. They had a lot of money coming in from Venezuela. They don't have any money coming. They had oil coming in. They had money coming in. But we're going to take care of Cuba.
Mr. President, sir. Mr. President.
And then, you know what? They want us to. The people want us there so bad.
While State Department analysts warned that a sudden humanitarian or political implosion in Havana could spark a massive maritime migration crisis toward Florida, the Trump administration insists that removing what they label as hostile regimes from the hemisphere remains an absolute prerequisite for regional security. This has been Jane Cudnita, Global Citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Thousands of Albanian protesters besieged the Prime Minister's office in Tirana for a fifth consecutive day, demanding the immediate cancellation of a planned luxury eco-resort linked to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Jane Cudnita is back for more details.
The center of Tirana has become the scene of growing anti-government protests. Thousands of demonstrators marched toward the office of Prime Minister Edi Rama, marking a fifth straight day of unrest over a controversial luxury resort project planned for the Svernek Coast and Sazan Island. The development is backed by Affinity Partners, the investment firm led by Jared Kushner, son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump. Protesters burned placards and called for sweeping political reforms as tensions escalated in the Albanian capital. Organizers are demanding the repeal of investment and cultural heritage laws that open protected areas to foreign development projects. Environmental groups warn the proposed resort could threaten sensitive habitats that support loggerhead sea turtles, flamingos, and endangered monk seals. Critics accuse the government of sacrificing environmental protections in pursuit of foreign investment. Prime Minister Edi Rama has defended the project, arguing it will create jobs, boost tourism, and play a key role in Albania's long-term economic development strategy. This has been Jane Cogniter, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Up next, Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi has labeled the nation's plunging birth rate a quiet emergency. Takaichi warned lawmakers during a budget committee session that the record low fertility rate threatens the country's long-term vitality. And Malacanang is hitting back at controversial claims involving suitcases of cash allegedly sent to government officials. The administration directly challenged accusers at a Senate hearing to lay out solid evidence instead of stories. Newsline will be back after the break.
For years, Sunshine Media Network International has remained committed to delivering truth that matters. Anchored on the principles of responsible journalism, the network prioritizes facts, clarity, and information that truly matters to the public. SMNI provides a platform for voices that are often unheard, stories that deserve attention, and issues that demand understanding. Public service and national interest remain at the heart of every broadcast. Through consistent reporting and meaningful programming, SMNI continues to strengthen credibility and build public trust. This commitment to truthful and relevant reporting has not gone unnoticed. Over the years, SMNI has received various awards and recognitions from different institutions and organizations. These honors highlight the network's contributions to public service, broadcasting excellence, and nation-oriented programming. Each recognition stands as a testament to SMNI's dedication to responsible journalism and meaningful storytelling. More importantly, these accolades reflect the confidence and trust placed by the public and partner institutions. Guiding this mission is the vision of the network's honorary chairman, Pastor Apollo C. Kibaloy. His leadership underscores the belief that media can be a powerful force for nation building. Under this vision, SMNI promotes unity, moral values, and responsible citizenship among Filipinos. Programs are designed not only to inform, but also to inspire and empower communities. Because for SMNI, the mission goes beyond broadcasting. It is about contributing to the progress and development of the nation. This commitment to service extends beyond the television screen. Through the SMNI Foundation, the network implements humanitarian and community outreach initiatives across the country. Programs provide assistance to communities, children, and families in need, bringing help where it matters most. SMNI also works hand-in-hand with its partner organizations, including the Sunshine Philippines Movement, the Keepers Club International, and the Children's Joy Foundation Incorporated. Together, these organizations promote volunteerism, compassion, and social responsibility. Their programs demonstrate SMNI's commitment to real public service, turning advocacy into action. SMNI, delivering truth that matters for nation building.
Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed the International News Agency on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. During a 2-hour Q&A session, Putin touched on domestic policy, foreign relations, and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. MJ Mondihar has the key takeaways.
The high-profile media session brought together heads of state news outlets from China, Belarus, Germany, France, Spain, and Iran, alongside representatives from international media. Addressing the Russia-Ukraine battlefield situation, President Vladimir Putin claimed the Russian army is advancing along the entire line of contact, while claiming that Ukraine's forces are facing a critical manpower shortage.
За последнее время численность вооруженных сил Украины сократилась на 100 тысяч человек. Ежемесячные потери около 40 тысяч. В результате принудительный, а людей там, как вы знаете, на улице ловят как собак бездомных и силой запихивают в армию. Сейчас скажу и об этих последствиях. И ежемесячные потери составляют примерно 40 тысяч человек.
He further stated that Ukraine lacks a complete air defense system, strike systems, and hypersonic or cruise missiles. Turning to advanced weapons, Putin stated that Russia has not yet used its Oreshnik dual-capable intermediate-range hypersonic ballistic missile in the full sense of Ukrainian territory, describing prior developments as specific tests. Russia has confirmed 3 separate strikes using the missile, which carries both nuclear and conventional warheads, targeting a defense facility in Dnipro in late 2024, a warplane plant in Lviv in January, and a site in Belaya Cherkov in May.
Делали еще в прежние времена, до конфликта на украинском направлении. Что я имею в виду? Ведь мы подобные системы испытывали на полигонах, а Орешник-то не испытывали. И это не боевое применение. У нас вообще по территории Украины фактически не было ни одного боевого, в полном смысле этого слова, применения Орешника. А последнее, это вообще, если уж по-честному, открою вам большую военную государственную тайну. Просто ударили туда, где было удобно посмотреть результаты. Если это касается и Белой Церкви, и тем более касается.
Putin added that Russian drones later flew into target site to observe impact effects, noting it is important for making future decisions on the full-scale use of the Oreshnik against designated targets, including urban areas. On the prospect of peace, Putin maintained that Moscow is without doubt ready for a peaceful settlement in Ukraine. However, he stressed that any deal must be based on the compromises agreed upon with U.S. President Donald Trump in Anchorage last year.
Кардинальным образом обостряться. И у меня такое впечатление, что на самом деле правящие круги, они не заинтересованы в реальном прекращении боевых действий. Потому что тогда находящиеся у власти люди в данный момент вряд ли будут иметь какие-то хорошие, так скажу, аккуратные очень перспективы для удержания власти.
Putin stressed that negotiations should not be predicated on a ceasefire that would only allow Kyiv to rearm and regroup, adding that Moscow's control of the Donbass and other territories does not contradict a peace deal. When asked if Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky could serve as a legitimate representative to sign the treaty, Putin declined to give a direct answer, saying Russia can only sign with people who are, without a doubt, in the full sense of the word, legitimate to sign documents of this kind. The Russian president noted that Zelensky's presidential term expired back in May 2024, and discussions of new elections in Ukraine have since stalled.
Это вопрос, ждущий своего кропотливого исследователя. 2 года назад, ровно 2 года, в 24 году, в мае, по-моему, истекли полномочия господина Зеленского как президента. Сейчас в конце прошлого года, в начале этого, много-много говорили о выборах на Украине. Где эти разговоры сейчас? Будут все-таки выборы или нет? По Конституции Украины у президента может быть только 2 срока по 5 лет.
Regarding European backers, Putin said the EU could play a positive role by convincing Kyiv to agree to compromises rather than supplying weapons provided by Western European nations, abandon their colonial approach and talk as equals. When asked whether Russia can withstand the economic strain of the conflict and Western sanctions, Putin dismissed claims that the economy has been torn to shreds. And as for purchasing power parity, Putin says Russia has now surpassed all European countries.
По-моему, Мартвен сказал, слухи о моей смерти сильно преувеличены. Как-то он однажды пошутил. Вот. Вот так и сейчас. Нам что пророчили поражение на поле боя, то говорили, я помню еще прежний президент Соединенных Штатов говорил о том, что экономика России разорвана в клочья. Но не надо выдавать желаемое за действительное. Надо все оценивать реальными цифрами, реальными тенденциями, реальным состоянием дел. И реальным состоянием экономики в данном случае. Экономика Евросоюза за последние 3 года насколько выросла? Не забивайте себе голову. Где-то в районе 3%. Экономика России насколько выросла? На 10%. Больше, чем в 3 раза. Чем экономика Евросоюза.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihab, SMNA News.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has labeled the nation's plunging birth rate a quiet emergency. The warning came as lawmakers debated a worsening demographic outlook during high-stakes legislative season in Tokyo. Daniela Polita has the details.
The intense demographic debate unfolded Thursday during a budget committee session in the capital. Addressing the committee, Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi gave a stark assessment of Japan's shrinking population. The legislative debate comes as Japan continues to grapple with one of the fastest aging populations anywhere in the world. The latest official figures released by the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare have exposed a severe decade-long downward trend. According to the ministry data, annual births in the country have plummeted to just 670,000, while the overall fertility rate has slid to an all-time low of 1.14. In response to the crisis, the Prime Minister outlined clear policy priorities aimed at supporting young citizens and parents who are currently struggling to raise children.
これ速報値、私も見ました。非常に、厳しい状況だと思います。で、私は人口減少、静かな有事と、大切な課題だと捉えております。まだ就任して7ヶ月でこの流れをガラッと変えると、いうことには至っておりませんけれども。
Takaichi also emphasized the need for targeted social interventions for isolated households.
若い方々で、結婚したいとか子供が欲しいとか思ってらっしゃる方がその夢を諦めなくて済むようにできるだけ若年層の手取りを増やしていきたいな、このようなことも考えております。でまた孤独な子育てで本当に苦労されている方もいらっしゃいますので、そういった方々への支援も強化していきたいと思っております。
New demographic data reveals Japan's population continues its sharp contraction, standing at just over 123 million in 2025. According to Internal Affairs Ministry data cited by Nippon.com, this represents a staggering loss of 3.1 million people compared to just 5 years earlier. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulite, SMNI News.
The Chinese government is reportedly preparing a crackdown to illegal Filipino workers in mainland China in response to the arrest of more than 60 Chinese nationals at a steel manufacturing plant in Mindanao. MJ Mondihar tells us more.
Beijing is reportedly gearing up to launch law enforcement operations targeting Filipinos working legally inside mainland China. Sources close to the matter revealed to SMNI that the upcoming sweeps will specifically target Filipino domestic workers who enter the mainland without proper working visas. An estimated 1,000 illegal Filipino workers are reportedly being targeted in the initial wave. The clampdown isn't stopping at the mainland. Similar enforcement operations are reportedly being mapped out against illegal Filipino workers in Hong Kong and Macau. There are currently around 200,000 Filipino workers in Hong Kong and about 30,000 in Macau. It added, this is Beijing's swift countermeasure to the Philippine government's recent raid at the Philippine Sanja Steel Corporation in Tagoloan, Misamis Oriental. A total of 69 Chinese nationals and 1 Filipino were arrested during the operation. Philippine authorities said the workers violated immigration laws due to the lack of sufficient permits to work in the country. However, the legal team for Philippine Sanja Steel Corporation quickly shot back, clarifying that their Chinese employees hold valid alien employment permits and working visas that prove total regulatory compliance. At present, 2 Chinese nationals remain in the custody of authorities, while most of those arrested have already been released. Meanwhile, sources close to the development insist that reports are completely accurate regarding a sweeping travel ban slapped against Defense Secretary Gilbert Chidoro. Regarding a sweeping travel ban slapped against Defense Secretary Gilbert Chidoro and his immediate family, barring them from entering China, Hong Kong, and Macau. It claimed that reports of a freeze order on all of Secretary Chidoro's assets in China, particularly in Macau, are accurate. Chinese citizens and organizations are also reportedly prohibited from cooperating with individuals who may be financial backers of the defense chief. However, during a press conference, Secretary Chidoro simply laughed off reports regarding the alleged ban on him and his family from entering China. According to Chidoro, he has no assets in China and has no plans to travel there. The defense chief also maintained that the government's operation against Philippine Sanja Steel Corporation was legitimate. He stressed that it was not based on nationality or politics. According to Chidoro, authorities found several violations at the facility, including a radioactive hazard, which prompted the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to order the suspension of its operations. People close to the source added that China will impose economic sanctions on the Philippines if what it described as discriminatory law enforcement operations against Chinese nationals are not stopped. These could include the possible suspension of imports of urea fertilizers, refined oil, and agricultural products from the Philippines. The country's banana exports to China could also be affected. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
As the crisis in the Senate deepens, Malacanang's side is clear. It sided with the new majority and said that President Bongbong Marcos is open to a special session if requested. The palace also advised the senators to fix their mess. Here's my report. From disputes over a session quorum and leadership changes to allegations of blocking key personalities, the crisis inside the Senate continues to intensify as the battle lines move into questions of legality, power, and high-level leadership. Malacanang has broken its silence to clarify exactly where the executive branch stands.
With 12 senators present, the chair declares a quorum. We are compelled to call the session to order. The quorum of 12 is based on majority of 22 senators, over whom jurisdiction can be obtained by the Senate. This is in full accord with the ruling of the court in Avellino versus Cuenco, that an absolute majority of 12 out of the 23 members can constitute a constitutional majority of the Senate for quorum purposes.
Ang nakalagay sa konstitusyon ng Pilipinas, pwedeng mag-conduct ng business ang Senado by a majority of all its members. Ang majority po ng 24 ay 13 po. 13 po ang numero. Yung sinasabi po nilang kaso, yung po ay ibang-iba.
The entire leadership deadlock centers on clashing legal interpretations of Avellino versus Cuenco, a landmark 1949 Supreme Court ruling governing how a legislative quorum is calculated to conduct official business. Acting Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian utilized that specific judicial precedent to declare a valid session quorum with just 12 senators present, a move that successfully triggered a sweeping committee reorganization and leadership shakeup. But this was strongly countered by Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, who insisted that the Constitution clearly provides that the majority of all 24 members of the Senate, or at least 13 senators, is required to have a proper quorum and to conduct official business in the upper house. However, for Malacanang, the recognized leadership is the new majority in the Senate.
Yun po ang nakikita na nararapat. Ito ang nakikita para maipakita rin sa taong bayan na kung may naganap na tamang proseso ay dapat lamang pong kilalanin.
Amid the changes in the Senate leadership, the palace also said that President Marcos is ready to act immediately on any request for a special session as soon as the formal request is received from the new leadership.
Well, anyway, ganito yan, no? Sabi nila sila ang magre-request for a special session. So as soon as the new leadership will send the official request for special session addressed to the President, then the President will act immediately on that.
The palace also did not let the chaos in the Senate slide, especially since the controversial Senate siege and shooting last May are still fresh, followed now by the scramble for leadership. So when asked what the palace's message for the senators, Palace Officer Claire Castro's answer was short but direct.
Umayos kayo.
According to the palace, the Senate itself should fix its own internal problems and resolve the issues surrounding the institution.
Unang-una, yung internal problems ng Senado, dapat sila muna ang mag-sort out nito. Sila ang mag-settle ng anumang issues na kinapapalooban ng Senado. But as far as the palace is concerned, kinilala na po natin ang liderato ni Acting Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian. So, kung ano man po ang kanyang ibibigay na mensahe sa ehekutibo, yun po ang ating kikilalanin.
Meanwhile, Malacanang also denied any connection of the president to the allegation that certain senators, former soldiers, and personalities who went to the Senate to attend the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing were blocked. According to the palace, they need to know the full details of the incident first before giving any conclusion.
Sa ngayon, wala tayong alam sa buong pangyayari. Mahirap mag-speculate. So, tignan na lamang po natin kung anong buong naging kaganapan dyan, ba't nagkaroon ng ganong kaguluhan. Hindi po trabaho ng Pangulo ang mangharang ninuman. So, huwag magbigay ng ganyang klaseng impresyon.
Several high-ranking government officials are now at the center of a raging controversy after being named in a Senate hearing over alleged suitcases of cash. Malacanang is hitting back directly, challenging the accuser to lay out solid evidence instead of relying on mere allegations and stories. This to report. A long list of high-profile names was laid out before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. This comes after the group known as the Brave 18, former soldiers who reportedly served former Congressman Zaldico, released sworn affidavits detailing the delivery of suitcases filled with cash. During the hearing, Senator Rodante Marcoleta read through the names listed in the witnesses' affidavits one by one.
Ito yung mga nag-deliver po kami mismo sa bahay ng ilan sa HOR at yung iba kinuha nila sa Unit 8 o Unit 9 ng Polo Club Townhouse, Forbes Park. Sila yung mga sumusunod. Benny Abante, Sia Adyong, Jose Alvarez. Dito binabanggit ninyo kung saan kinuha eh. Ace Barbers Townhouse, Ching Bernos, House of Representatives, Arlene Brosas, House of Representatives, Townhouse, Franz Castro, House of Representatives, Townhouse, Joel Chua, House of Representatives, Manix Delipe, House of Representatives. Ito nga, si Laila de Lima, Townhouse din niya kinuha. Dan Fernandez, House of Representatives, Townhouse. Janet Garin, House of Representatives, Townhouse. Dong Gonzales, Townhouse. J. Konghun, House of Representatives at Townhouse. Jervil Luistro, House of Representatives. Raul Manuel, House of Representatives and Town House. Ito yung mga makabayan group na sinasabi ni Senate President kanina eh. Raul Manuel, Franz Castro, Arlene Brosas. Ito yung makabayan black. Na kapag nagsasalita sila sa House of Representatives, matagal ko po silang nakasama roon eh. Wala nang ginawang mabuti ang gobyerno. Palagi sila na nang mabuti. Sandro Marcos, Forbes Park, Paulo Ortega, House of Representatives, Joseph Paduano, House of Representatives, Townhouse, Stella Kimbo, House of Representatives, Townhouse and Residence, J.J. Suarez, House of Representatives, Erwin Tulfo, Paulo Ortega, House of Representatives, Joseph Paduano, House of Representatives, Townhouse, Stella Kimbo, House of Representatives, Townhouse and Residence, J.J. Suarez, House of Representatives, Erwin Tulfo, Green Hills, House of Representatives. Itong lahat po ng binanggit.
The bombshell testimony implicates several lawmakers and government officials. The allegations also drag in former House Speaker Martin Romualdez and even President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Ang naalala ko, sir, si dating Speaker Martin Romualdez po. Meron po kaming video at saka mga pictures, Your Honor. Saka kay, yung dinala po sa Ilocos. Kami po yung nagdala doon sa Delta Gate, hangar sa Pasay. Yung 5 maleta po na dinala doon sa Ilocos. Na dinala ni Sergeant Tobe at saka ni Boss Saldi. Ikinarga po namin sa Lexus na bulletproof, plate number NFX 8886. At saka binakapan po namin ng Hilux na bulletproof din, black na Hilux, plate number Eco Alpha Foxtrot 7121.
Para kanino naman yung dinala ninyo?
Ang narinig ko po nun, sir, para kay President Marcos, sir.
Malacanang immediately fired back at the claims. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro insists that bare accusations are not enough, demanding that they be backed up by clear and solid proof.
Pakita mo na nila ebidensya, madali kasi magturo. Lalo na kung ang balak mo lang naman talaga ay manggiba at magsilbing isang obstructionist or destabilizer. So dapat patunayan nila, bigyan nila tayo ng dokumento at hindi yung salita lamang.
The palace stressed that while pointing fingers is easy, the burden of proof rests entirely on the accusers to back up their claims with documents and hard evidence. Meanwhile, personalities dragged into the mess are coming forward one by one to deny receiving any suitcase cash.
I vehemently deny that meron po akong natanggap na maaari ko siyang bigyan o maaari niya ako bigyan ng pera. Umalis na si Attorney Rondain. Nauna nang umalis. Kausap ko siya noong isang araw. Pakiusap ko sa kanya, kumuha ka lang ng isang note kay Saldi, kung makausap mo siya, na wala si Saldi pinadalang malita sa akin. Yun lang po, hindi ko sinasabi na hindi totoo yung mga sinasabi ng mga Marines, no? Ang akin lang na wala akong tinanggap personally, for me. Dahil, modesty aside, ganito lang po ang buhay ko, hindi naman ako naghahangad ng malita-malitang pera. Ganun lang po.
In a freshly released statement, Lanao del Sur Representative Z. Alonto Adyong slams the expose as setting more than political theater designed to generate noise. ML Party's Representative Leila de Lima is also pushing back, calling her alleged involvement in the cash delivery ring total fiction. As the Senate probe gets deeper, the entire issue hinges on one critical question. Can the accusers produce the hard evidence needed to back up their heavy claims? For now, those implicated continue to strongly deny the allegations as the country waits for the next round of hearings.
Pagka nabitbit nila, alam ninyo.
With the global release of Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, late last month, director Jon Favreau is on a mission to spark a new wave of Jedi mania and introduce a whole new generation of fans to the iconic sci-fi saga. Meanwhile, to honor what would have been Marilyn Monroe's 100th birthday, a wave of nationwide centennial celebration has culminated in a high-profile memorabilia auction. It has already pulled in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's Faith Agustin for the show Buzz.
For Jen Favreau, who has spent almost 8 years developing the Mandalorian universe, bringing the characters to theaters wasn't just a professional milestone, it was deeply personal. Recalling how the original film served as a major bonding experience for his own family, he views this release as a bridge between generations.
Here it's been almost 7 years since we've had a Star Wars movie, and the opportunity to introduce Star Wars to a new audience felt like a big privilege. It's something I saw with my father. 50 years later, I sat next to my dad and we watched this movie together.
One of the film's boldest creative choices remains keeping the titular Mandalorian's face hidden underneath his helmet for most of the story. Favreau revealed this was his own idea, drawing inspiration from ancient mythic storytelling traditions. Of course, the film's secret weapon is Grogu, affectionately known to the world as Baby Yoda. While modern blockbusters rely heavily on CGI, Favreau chose to honor the original 1970s and 80s trilogy by bringing Grogu to life using sophisticated animatronics and skilled puppeteers.
Every year we get a little bit more sophistication with the animatronics, all the gearing. I've actually brought him around for certain events. And when you see him live in person, it's amazing how much he looks like and performs like he does in the film.
Since his TV debut in 2019, the Little Green phenomenon has evolved significantly, and his real-world presence is nothing short of magical. Favreau hopes Grogu's undeniable cuteness will act as the ultimate intriguing invitation for theater-goers who have never experienced a Star Wars film on the big screen.
I know there's a lot of people who didn't grow up with Star Wars. And because it's been so long since it's been in the theaters, we have to assume there's a whole generation that's never seen Star Wars. We wanted this to be the first introduction of these characters and to an audience to Star Wars. That was a big goal here.
With a perfect mix of nostalgic practical effects for the old school fans and a gripping mystery for the new, The Mandalorian and Grogu is officially aiming to conquer the box office and the hearts of a whole new generation. Meanwhile, the massive milestone has triggered Marilyn mania across the United States this week. In Palm Springs, California, over 1,000 devoted fans dressed in Marilyn Monroe's famous white pleated dress gathered to strike a pose next to her iconic towering statue. The main event kicked off on Thursday at the Peninsula Beverly Hills, where Julian's Auctions launched its 100 Years of Marilyn event, featuring 185 deeply personal items that have been locked away for decades. Interestingly, it isn't just vintage collectors driving up the prices. A whole new generation is driving up the demand for her personal cosmetic stash. Her actual lipsticks, blushes, and eyeliner pencils have drawn immense bidding traction, fueled largely by TikTok creators eager to recreate the actress's signature look using her exact vintage products. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, Monroe's trajectory remains the quintessential Hollywood fairy tale and tragedy. 100 years after her birth, Marilyn's timeless mystic continues to prove that diamonds aren't a girl's only best friend. Her enduring legacy is too. This has been Faith Agustin, your global citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest show buzz.
Olympic champion Noah Lyles reaffirmed his status as the world's premier sprinter after clocking a season-best 9.88 seconds to win the men's 100 meters at the Diamond League meeting in Rome. Meanwhile, Filipino tennis star Alex Ayala stormed into the quarterfinals of the Birmingham Open after staging a strong second-set comeback to defeat Russia's Alina Karavea 6-2-75. Almar Persuelo tells us more.
Competing in one of the strongest sprint fields of the season, Noah Lyles overcame a fast start from his rivals and unleashed his trademark finishing speed over the final 20 meters to secure victory before an enthusiastic crowd at the Stadio Olimpico. The win further strengthens his preparations as he continues his pursuit of another major championship season. Cameroon's Emmanuel Izeme finished second in 9.94 seconds, setting a new national record, while Botswana's Letsele Tebogo placed third in 9.95. Italy's Marcel Jacobs also featured in the star-studded field but was unable to challenge for the win. The victory marked another milestone for Lyles, who continues to build momentum following his Olympic triumph in Paris. His 9.88 performance stands as his fastest time of the season and reinforces his position as one of the favorites in the men's sprint events this year. Meanwhile, the tournament's top seed looked in complete control early, racing to a 5-1 advantage en route to claiming the opening set. However, Alina Shareva responded in the second frame, winning 3 consecutive games and taking a 5-2 lead to put Yala under pressure. Facing the prospect of a deciding set, Alex Yala showcased her composure and resilience by reeling off 5 straight games to complete the comeback and seal the victory in 1 hour and 40 minutes. The win marked her second consecutive triumph over Shareva following their encounter at the Philippine Women's Open earlier this year. Fresh off a dominant opening round victory over Priscilla Hon, Iyala continued her impressive start to the grass court season and will next face Thailand's Mananchaya Sawangkaew in the quarterfinals. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Almar Forsuelo, bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. And that's all for the edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Hannah Jane Sancho. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.